Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Bex here today to share my NonFiction November TBR with you. NonFiction November, if you aren't aware, is a month-long reading initiative that was started by Olive from A Book Olive, and the idea is just to read more nonfiction than you usually do. So if you're someone that doesn't really ever read nonfiction, in the month of November you can try reading just one nonfiction book. If you're someone like myself who really enjoys reading nonfiction, you can decide to only read that genre for the entire month, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Olive always comes up with a few prompts that are very vague, but just to sort of give you some guidance if you're someone that usually enjoys putting challenges into your reading. These prompts are intentionally vague to keep it from getting too restrictive, which is great because then it sort of lets you bend them in however you want to fit the books that you're interested in reading. So the first prompt is design, and for that I have chosen Hidden Cities: Travels to the Secret Corners of the World's Greatest Metropolises by Moses Gates. This is a memoir of urban exploration. Moses Gates decided to go to New York City to study urban planning, and while he was there, he started exploring the more interesting places, maybe some that you aren't allowed to go, or during times that you aren't allowed to be there. And this love for urban exploration grew into a worldwide passion. So he was traveling around the world and visiting all these different places and occasionally getting caught. And so I have chosen this one for design because urban planning is kind of like a version of design, and he's appreciating the design of these different places. I find the idea of urban exploration kind of fascinating, but I'm a little too scared to actually go and explore some of these places because they're off limits. Therefore, I hope I can live vicariously through Moses in this book. The second prompt is sport, and I might have stretched this one a little bit. I'm going to read On Trails and Exploration by Robert Moore. This is one of the 9 books that I wanted to read in 2019, and I chose this for sport because the author hiked the Appalachian Trail, which is a long-distance trail that runs from Georgia to Maine in the United States. It's over 2,000 miles long. So if you're hiking a 2,000-mile-long trail, I kind of consider that sport level. This book came to be because when Robert was hiking the Appalachian Trail, he started thinking about trails in our world, not just hiking trails, but things like the interstate highway or the internet. So he explores those ideas in this book. The third prompt is true, and for that one I have chosen Blood at the Root: A Racial Cleansing in America by Patrick Phillips. This is going to be a hard book to read. I chose it for true because it's going to look at the history of racial cleansing in the United States, which is something that we need to look at and realize was true and actually happened. This book talks about the Cherokee removals in the 1830s, and then it also focuses on the racial cleansing of Forsyth County in Georgia. Forsyth County had a rather large African-American population. They were relatively poor, but they also owned their own land and they farmed their own crops, had their own animals. And then in 1912, 3 black men were accused of raping and murdering a white girl. So the white men came in and basically racially cleansed the entire area, scared all the people off, burned their homes, destroyed what they had, and kept the black residents from returning. If that doesn't sound incredibly depressing, I don't know what does, but it is a true story and something I would like to learn more about. The final prompt is voice, and for that I have chosen A House in the Sky by Amanda Lindhout and Sarah Corbett. This book has been on my radar for years and I just haven't picked it up, and then one of my friends read it and said, "You would love this book." And I was like, hey, actually I wanted to read that for a while. So she said, borrow it. And I said, great, because I'll read it for NonFiction November. This is a book about Amanda, who somebody who always loved adventure. She is a Canadian, and she decided to go traveling, backpacking, all these different places around the world, and she was sort of pushing herself to go to more interesting, dangerous places. She spent time in Iraq and Afghanistan, and when she was there, she ended up becoming a TV correspondent. And after a few years, she ended up going to Mogadishu in Somalia, which at the time was considered the most dangerous place in the world, to do some reporting, and she ended up getting kidnapped. She was abducted and held captive for 15 months, and this is that story. The final book that I have doesn't fit any prompts. It's just a little book that I would like to read if I have the time, and that is Who Do You Think You Are by Megan Smolniak. This is a book about genealogy and genealogical research. I enjoy researching my family history, learning family stories, building out my family tree, and I picked up this book because it seemed like something that would help me do that. It is not very long, and it just has different sections about reading old files and what's online that could help you do your research, just general tips and tricks. I figured I could probably learn something interesting from it, and because it's so small and it's very broken up, it's not a novel, so it'll be really easy to pick it up and put it down as need be. These are the 5 books that I will be hopefully reading in November. If you are also participating, please let me know down below. Let me know what you will be reading. I always love learning about new nonfiction books out there. As always, all of our links are in the down bar if you want to go check those out. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you later.